No. What is that?
The fuck?
Dead duck here.
Dude.
On June 6, 2025, a YouTuber who goes by Dundee Hikes departed from Islip Saddle for another solo trip into the quiet California mountains. His channel is usually recognized for calm nature walks, peaceful campsites, and the quiet solitude of the outdoors. But this outing would lead to something no hiker ever hopes to discover.
All right, so it's been a couple days since this incident happened, and thought I would try to give you a more coherent account of what happened than just the videos show. I'll show you the videos after I finish talking. There's nothing graphic in there, so no need to worry about that. Anyway, I broke camp at Islip Saddle, and I decided to do like a mile more road walk before joining the PCT again. As I approached the Javis Memorial Picnic Ground, I noticed there was a single car in the parking lot, and it was backed up to the edge. But what really caught my attention was that the back tires were way up on the embankment. So that caused me to walk over and take a closer look. And that's when I noticed the rope that was tied to the back and disappearing over the edge.
While reconnecting with the Pacific Crest Trail, Dundee passed by a familiar picnic site. Only a single vehicle was parked there. Its back wheels rested oddly on the incline, as though it had been purposely backed into position. Curious Dundee walked closer and noticed something unsettling, a rope fastened to the rear bumper stretching down the slope. He filmed a short clip casually commenting on how strange it seemed. At first, he walked away, but the feeling lingered.
That caused me to walk over and take a closer look. And that's when I noticed the rope that was tied to the back and disappearing over the edge. And I really didn't even think anything about it at that moment. I pulled out my camera and I took a little video, something like, hey, look at this. This is weird. I guess I'll never know what was going on here. And I started to walk away. And then my curiosity got the better of me. So I dropped my pack and I grabbed the rope and shuffled down to the edge. And that's when I saw the guy with the rope tied around his neck. I didn't really spend a lot of time gawking at him. I didn't take any pictures. I kind of stupidly shouted hello a few times, like he's gonna open his eyes and say just kidding or something. But then I hustled back up to the parking lot and tried to figure out what I was gonna do, because I had no service at all.
I set my pack down, went back and looked over the edge. What he saw stopped him cold. At the end of the rope hung a man's body, neck tied, completely still. He shouted, clinging to the hope it was some twisted prank, but there was no answer. He hurried back uphill. There was no phone signal. He returned to camp, pulled out his in-reach emergency beacon, and notified the camp host.
Well, all the rest of them got on scene here. I gave my statement to the sheriff, and they said they don't need anything else from me, so I'm moving on. And they asked me not to leave, so okay. So apparently they want me to wait until homicide gets here and make sure it wasn't a murder. I got an update from the sheriff, and he basically said that fire and rescue showed up, said, yeah, he's dead, and left. Now there's someone else. I think it's crime scene, possibly, but they're going to go down and actually examine the body and try to determine if it was self-inflicted or not.
Within an hour, a rescue chopper circled overhead. It hovered, then pulled away, unable to land. Ground crews arrived soon after. Fire deputies, homicide detectives. Protocol required Dundee to remain on site. They needed a statement, just to rule things out. I understood. Dundee was never treated as a suspect. But the weight of what he found shifted everything. The man's body was eventually recovered. Investigators inspected the rope, the car, and the scene to determine if it had been self-inflicted. The findings remain undisclosed. For Dundee, the effect was personal. He had set out in search of peace. What he encountered instead was death. As the footage ends, Dundee shares a message. If you're in a dark place, please talk to someone. It's a bad day, not a bad life. But for those who hike alone, the message carries a different weight. Because even out here in the open wilderness, far from society, some things still find a way to haunt you. The forests surrounding Dudleytown, Connecticut have always had a reputation. Locals speak of unexplained deaths, vanishing settlers, and ghastly apparitions. A place where even the trees seem to whisper secrets. But one piece of footage captured on June 17, 2006, shifted the conversation from folklore to something far more tangible. A small house sat on Chase Avenue bordering the cursed woods. The owners had grown increasingly uneasy, reporting sightings of a shadowy figure drifting behind their property.
No. What is that? No way. No. What the fuck is that? Yeah, it's me. I've just seen that thing. I've actually got it on camera. I'll show you when you get home. Give me a call as soon as you get this message.
It didn't walk. It glided. Its shape, dark and warped, seemed to flicker in and out of existence. So they did what any terrified family might do. They kept a camera ready. That decision paid off. On a quiet June day, the figure returned. And this time, they caught it on tape. No. What is that? No way. What the fuck is that? The clip is short but unforgettable. The shadow appears between the trees. It doesn't reflect light. It doesn't cast a clear silhouette. Instead, its form shimmers as if made of dense living smoke, black and semi-translucent. I've actually got it on camera. I'll show you when you get home. The entity moves unnaturally, not bound by the logic of wind or terrain. The camera shakes, voice trembling, but the clip remains intact. Word spread fast. Locals already feared the woods. This only made things worse. In desperation for clarity, the family submitted the video to the Institute of Forensic Parapsychology, a respected panel of researchers specializing in unexplained phenomena. The verdict: no visual trickery, no lens flare, no camera malfunction. The figure captured on tape defied explanation. Multiple experts confirmed the authenticity. Some called it one of the most legit and persuasive paranormal videos ever recorded. Still, no answer came. Over the years, more reports have surfaced, but none as clear or as deeply unsettling as this one. If you watch the footage and look closely at the trees behind the figure, you might notice something even more disturbing. They don't move at all. What do you believe walked through the woods that day, and why did it come back? For Dan, life on the road was nothing new. A full-time van lifer and creator behind Dan's Van Life, he had already dealt with ticks, a burglary attempt, and more on his solo journey from Iowa to Colorado. But nothing had prepared him for what would unfold on the evening of August 4th, 2023.
So I think today I took a couple days off of editing and filming, just kind of let myself recharge a little. I need to get a video completely edited today, start to finish. So we are going to take my laptop, the grow lot. You know, the van's still kind of messy from last night. And we're gonna go sit in the park and edit the video up in the beautiful park with the mountain atmosphere and the people walking around, and should make it a little more fun than usual. Got an iced coffee, from McDonald's. Cassie got kicked out of McDonald's. The worker wasn't happy that I brought her in, but I couldn't care less what a McDonald's worker thinks.
That morning started out calm. He edited videos at a park, sipped iced coffee, and watched his dog Cassie relax by his side.
Decided we're gonna do a little after dinner walk, take a walk up this road, see if maybe there's a better viewpoint of the mountain behind me, and just check it out. Kind of cool right off the bat. It's like horse poop. There's either a moose or a horse right outside of the van right now, and he just made a scary noise. Or a bear. Holy shit, there's a bear right outside the van. Hey bear! He's huge. If I wouldn't have said something, he was gonna go in the van. If I wouldn't have hollered, hey bear, he was about to walk his way right into the van. Stay. Cassie, sit. Sit.
Later that day, Dan picked a remote campsite in the Colorado wilderness, hoping for a quiet night. The rain had passed. The forest was still and the van was parked in solitude, but the peace wouldn't last. After a light dinner, Dan took Cassie for a short walk. As they returned to the van, a low snorting sound stopped him cold.
What are the odds of that the second I walk away? What are the odds that the second I walk away from the van, a bear just comes strolling in? What are the odds, dude? I could have stepped out the door right into his face. I could have went eye to eye with that thing. I heard a weird snort noise when I was walking up the trail and looked back, and I could see him through the trees, like looking in. If I let go, she would chase him all the way down. He was pretty scared of us though, that's good. I didn't get the greatest video of him by the van because I was preparing until I realized that he was looking pretty docile, so I put away the other thing and aimed the camera at him, and glad that I got some of it on footage. So he was huge, man. All right, Cass, you know what? That's actually, we're not about to walk in the forest. You know, I came out here at this time of night thinking it is the time of night you might see an animal. I'm glad all I had to do was holler at him. Dude, like that was like destiny. I would have walked, if that bear would have been 1 minute behind schedule, me and Cassie would have been up the road far enough to where I wouldn't have saw him or heard him. And I could have came back to the van like totaled from a bear trying. Could you imagine?
Turning his head, he saw it. A massive black bear was less than 20 feet away, slowly making its way toward the open door of the van. Holy sh! There's a bear right outside the van, Dan shouted. The bear froze. Cassie stayed still, trained and loyal. The bear seemed curious, not hostile. But had Dan come back a minute later, it would have been inside the van, possibly tearing through everything. He could have walked straight into its face. What are the odds that the second I walk away from the van, a bear just comes strolling in? Dan didn't get the best footage. He was more focused on protecting Cassie than aiming a camera. But what he did capture showed just how easily a peaceful moment could turn dangerous. Had the bear arrived even 1 minute later, Dan and Cassie would have missed the warning signs. Had Cassie been off leash, it might have triggered the animal. Even experienced travelers like Dan can be caught off guard. The encounter was brief, no one was hurt, but the lesson was clear. Always close your van door, never let your dog off leash, and remember, when you're deep in the woods, you're not alone. What would have happened if Dan had stayed out just 2 minutes longer? Uploaded on July 7th, 2025, this footage comes from a brand new channel, one that appears to be documenting someone's early steps into the world of solo forest exploration. According to the video description, the plan was simple: a short nighttime walk to try out new gear, grab a few shots, and head back. But what the camera ended up capturing was anything but routine. The clip begins with dim footage from a flashlight weaving through dense trees. There's no music, no voiceover, only the crunch of leaves underfoot and the occasional snap of a branch from somewhere beyond the light. The woods feel suffocating silent and too still. Then something changes.
Just gonna ignore that. There's the next path. Here it is. Just gonna have to cross over this. The fuck? Just a minute. I saw something. I'm just scared, guys. What's that? Okay. Strange. Definitely hearing things. Okay.
A pair of glowing eyes catches the beam of light from the camera, faint far away, but unmistakable. The figure doesn't move. There's no sound, no reaction. It simply stands there upright, watching. The uploader doesn't zoom in or approach. Instead, they whisper into the darkness, unsure of what they're seeing. They later describe the shape as humanoid tall, motionless, and oddly proportioned, something that didn't quite resemble an animal. Visibly shaken, they retreat, and the footage ends shortly after. The chilling part isn't just what was seen, it's how it was seen. There's no dramatization, no editing, no jump scares, just raw footage from someone who clearly wasn't expecting to witness anything out of the ordinary. Could this have been a prank? Another person in the woods? Or perhaps a curious animal caught at the perfect angle? Maybe. But the upright posture, the silence, and the total stillness don't fit any easy explanation. There's no resolution, not yet. But the creator left a note in the description stating they plan to return and investigate further. Whether that will happen remains to be seen. Until then, we're left with a question. If you were alone in the woods and saw that, would you keep filming or would you run? The YouTube channel Roadie typically showcases peaceful vlogs about living on the road, capturing nature solitude, and the freedom of truck life. But in December 2017, one video stood out from the rest. In this upload, the creator reflects on a disturbing situation that happened earlier that year during a routine night of car camping. While parked in a lot and trying to get some sleep, in the back of his truck, something strange unfolded just after 1 a.m.
So it was probably around like 1:30 in the morning when I heard someone walking around my truck. And whenever you're sleeping, somewhere public and you hear somebody walking around outside your truck, it's always a little bit alarming. So what you'll see here in a second, he pulls out his phone and starts taking pictures. It looks like of my license plate or something like that. I'm not sure why he was doing this. So I thought maybe, I wasn't allowed to park there and he was taking pictures of my license plate, but it's kind of odd to be doing that at 1:30 in the morning. And he didn't look like a security guard or anything like that.
A hooded man began walking slowly around the truck. The truck bed where the uploader was sleeping was completely dark, making it likely the man didn't know someone was inside. Unaware he was being recorded, the man pulled out his phone and began taking photos of the license plates and various parts of the vehicle. For several minutes, the individual circled the truck. The uploader remained silent, watching from inside as the man moved suspiciously around the vehicle. He didn't appear to be law enforcement or security. And for someone to be photographing a private vehicle at that hour in that way was clearly unsettling.
He comes back around and tries to shine his flashlight into the back of my camper shell. You'll see here in a second. And I just bang on the window, and he takes off running. So he probably wasn't expecting that.
The situation escalated when the man moved to the side window and attempted to peer inside using a flashlight. At that point, the uploader made the decision to make his presence known, slamming his fist against the truck interior to startle the intruder. The reaction was immediate. The man panicked and ran off without hesitation. Although the uploader was unharmed and the man never returned, the intentions behind the late-night visitor remain unknown. It could have been someone casing the vehicle for theft, or perhaps something worse. Whatever the case, the uploader's quick reaction may have prevented a more dangerous scenario. Given the man's erratic behavior, several possibilities come to mind. He might have been planning a break-in unaware the vehicle was occupied. His lack of a uniform or clear purpose rules out most official explanations. The fact that he fled so quickly after being discovered suggests guilt, or at the very least, fear of being caught. Had the uploader remained silent, the outcome might have been very different. Would you have waited in silence or confronted the stranger sooner? Phil, the creator behind the Hike Slam YouTube channel, is widely known for documenting his outdoor treks across Virginia. But during an overnight hike in November 2021, just a day before Thanksgiving, his trip took an eerie turn. He had set out to explore a segment of the Appalachian Trail close to his home, expecting a peaceful adventure. But only 30 minutes into the journey, things began to feel off.
So some Bud Light cans, plastic bat, some writing on some of this garbage. This one. Hangman is coming down from the gallows. Song lyrics, other weird things. Well, hopefully I don't get murdered out here. That would totally ruin my day. Well, let's keep going.
Along the trail, he came across a scattered pile of litter beer cans, random debris, and notably a bat all marked with cryptic scribbles. One of the items featured ominous lyrics referencing a hanging. Phil brushed it off at first, joking about the bizarre scene, and decided to continue on. But the further he went, the stranger things became. A short while later, he stumbled upon another disturbing discovery: a recently deceased duck placed deliberately next to a long, handwritten message. The note had been neatly set between rocks, untouched by moisture, and appeared freshly left behind.
The weirdness continues. What the hell? And there's a dead duck here. A very long note. And it looks like it was just put here because it's not wet. That duck is fairly recently killed. Alright. Kind of creepy.
The duck, too, hadn't been there long, which only deepened the unease. Alarmed by the repeated oddities, Phil decided to alter his route. Instead of sticking to his original campsite, he turned around and hiked 2 miles to a nearby shelter, hoping it would be safer. But the strange pattern didn't stop.
The weirdness continues. What the hell? And there's a dead duck here. A very long note. And it looks like it was just put here because it's not wet. That duck is fairly recently killed. Alright. Kind of creepy.
That night, while looking through the shelter's logbook, a tradition on the Appalachian Trail where hikers jot down notes and trail updates, he noticed something chilling. One entry stood out not because of what it said, but because of how it was written. The handwriting bore an uncanny resemblance to the writing found earlier among the trash and notes. Upon reading the entry, became even more unsettling. It referenced unrelated song lyrics, jail time, religious verses, and disjointed political commentary.
So, I'm gonna check out the shelter log here. I hang out by the fire. Almost every shelter on the Appalachian Trail has a shelter log where people write in their trail names and what's going on. They can write whatever they want in there. So it's kind of cool tradition here. So let's see what this one says. Little engine, back section. Hiking again finally. Great day on the AT. This was in August. Huh. Someone left some PBRs here, I guess. It's nice and little trail magic. Some comics and writing and stuff. Alright, let's see what's happened recently. Holy crap. Wait a second. Hold on, I'm adjust the camera here. This writing looks almost exactly like the writing that was on that garbage a couple of miles from here. Let's see if this makes any sense. Sorry if the lighting's bad. I'm just gonna see what it says. Cleaned the outhouse. Picked up trash. Collected wood for others. See Charlie Daniels' Simple Man lyrics, which I used in 2013 Facebook post. And note the rope I found with the silicone sealant can 2 miles south of that. I left it on a stump. In 2018, while I was incarcerated at the Okaloosa County Jail, what the heck? In solitary confinement, I figured the following out. Refer to Isaiah 28:15 through 9. Here in early 2017, Trump, Nebo, allowed Obama to have the special use of the Air Force One for a trip to Palm Springs. This is the same ramblings from the guy that was on the other side of the river. That's kind of scary.
All eerily similar in tone to what he had seen miles back. It was enough to suggest that whoever had left those original messages may have been following the same trail, or possibly still nearby. Later that night, as Phil tried to fall asleep, he heard approaching footsteps outside the shelter. The sound grew louder, confirming that someone or something was in the area. Feeling exposed and vulnerable, Phil made a swift decision. He packed up and hiked back to his vehicle in the dark. The pattern of notes and the disturbing placement of the duck suggest intent, not just random littering. Whether the person behind it was mentally unstable, trying to communicate something obscure, or deliberately trying to frighten hikers remains unclear. The matching handwriting over several miles adds to the concern that Phil wasn't alone on that trail. That's it for tonight. Which moment creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story? Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.